When?
When we were kids, we used to race our bikes down Cherry Hill every day after school. We'd race every day, and he'd always beat me. But one time, I beat him.
You beat Kevin down Cherry Hill?
Yes, I did. He ate my dust.
Big deal. One time.
You know, one time at Randy Cooper's swim party, I did a backflip off the high dive, and my brother chickened out.
Roger chickened out? He's a Marine.
Aw, that's nothing. One time in spring carnival, I beat both my brothers in the cow dunk toss.
You beat Matt and Brad in the turd toss?
You know, one time I went fishing with my entire family, and I was the only one that didn't throw up.
So what? That still doesn't make us good football players.
Yeah. Wait a second, guys. Whoever said you had to be good to play football? You play football because you want to. You play football because it's fun. You play football so you can go out there and pretend that you're Joe Montana throwing a touchdown pass or Emmitt Smith going for a long run. And even if those Cowboys are better than you guys, even if they beat you 99 times out of 100, that still leaves
one time.
One time. Yeah. One time.
And welcome to Hardball Sports. I hope you guys like that intro. If you're not sure entirely what that was a scene from Little Giants. We are continuing our movie ranking series, and I have Little Giants somewhere between 40 and 31. If you'd like to know where, stay tuned and find out. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce you guys to my co-host, Alex. He's been with me for a few months now doing this. Alex, how are you today?
Ahoy, Brandon. I love that intro.
Yeah. I don't tell him what movie I'm doing an intro for. He finds out when you guys find out. So
it's the best.
Yeah.
You know what one of my favorite that movie is? I'm just gonna go ahead whenever you get to it. Is when they all get the jersey names for the Little Giants, when they all realize that their names are on the back of the jerseys, and one of the kids goes, "Yeah, it's so the morgue can identify the dead body." I love that one.
It's such a great movie. Very underrated.
It is.
So we're going to continue our sports movies ranking. Like we've said before, we're both big sports guys, and sports movies are fun to talk about. But before we do that, there was a really fun hockey game last night that we both watched that we want to talk about. And that was the Red Wings versus the Blackhawks. So it was a kind of an emotional game, because it was Patrick Kane's first time playing in Chicago, I believe, since leaving the Blackhawks. That's kind of the impression I got anyways. I don't believe he played against them with the Rangers.
No, he didn't.
And it was also Chris Chelios, the former Red Wings and Blackhawks defenseman, got his jersey retired by the Blackhawks. So it was a very emotional night in Chicago. And it was a heck of a hockey game. It was a fun game to watch. Both teams played really tough. We were talking about it before the show. We're like, let's just save this for the show, if we're going to talk about it. So here we are. It really felt like a playoff atmosphere, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is because of all the emotions in Chicago, with it being Chris Chelios' retirement night and Patrick Kane's in the building for the first time. It was a great game, though, and the Wings ended up pulling it out 3-2 in overtime. DeBrincat scored a goal that, to this, I still don't know how that puck went in, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, when I was watching it and I saw that they were cheering, I'm like, what did he do? How did that go in? You actually want to know what, speaking of Patrick Kane, you actually want to know what goal that reminded me of?
The DeBrincat goal?
Yeah, the DeBrincat goal.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was one, I don't know what championship it was, what season, but when Patrick Kane scored on Philadelphia Flyers, and he was the only one that knew it went in, and like they had a slow motion replay of that little tiny space between the goalie and the post that he put it through.
Yep.
That kind of reminded me of that, like how did that go in?
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the goal, basically DeBrincat was a good 2 feet behind the goal. In the corner, and he just basically threw it on net, and it hit Mrazek. Must fit him in the back end somewhere, and just trickled his way in. And DeBrincat started celebrating right away, and all the players on the ice are jumping up and down, and the announcer's like, that went in. What the heck?
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then in overtime, Patrick Kane got a breakaway. It was a storybook ending, which leads me to the question I want to ask you. How do you feel about the Blackhawks fans cheering a goal scored against them?
Yeah. I
mean, I know who scored it, so like,
yeah,
that it's complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated. I would say I don't like it, but I understand why they did.
Yeah, the comparison I have would be basically like Lions fans cheering Stafford, but the first time, yeah, but the first time that he came to Detroit was a playoff game, so like that was not going to happen.
Right.
But like, let's say year one, we played LA. Year one of the Dan Campbell era, we played them in LA. I think if we played that game in Detroit, I think something similar happens where Stafford gets a huge standing ovation. Unfortunately for him, he came back in a playoff game, and that's why he didn't get that.
Right.
But that was really the only comparison I could think of would be Stafford coming back to Detroit, off the top of my head anyways. But, yeah. And again, that was a playoff game when he came back, so like there was no way he was going to get cheered for.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, having that standing ovation in the first period for the first media timeout, that was pretty cool. And then did a lap around the ice. It was Chicago fans are probably some of the most passionate fans in this country. They don't get the reputation of like a Boston and New York or anything like that because it's not that big of a market.
Right.
But Chicago fans, they're special. And
they love living off that 1985 championship.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Tiger fans are living off 1984 still, so
yeah,
we can't say a whole lot.
You know,
I mean, I guess we're not because we weren't around. But you talk to our dads, and the 1984 team was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And don't get me wrong, the 1984 Tigers, they were a good baseball team. I'm not taking anything away, but yeah, it's kind of like the 85 Bears on with that. That's a good comparison. But did you have anything else you wanted to say or ask about the Wings game before we?
Do you agree with Chelios that Patrick Kane's the best American hockey player?
He's in the conversation.
Who are your top three if you have top three?
I mean, Brett Hull's got to be up there. And then Chelios, he was a dominant defenseman for all those years.
Yeah,
Kane in the
did you realize? I never realized that he actually played for Montreal before Chicago. I thought he was always Chicago and then Detroit.
No, I knew he played for Montreal. I didn't know for how long, but I knew he played for up there.
Yeah, I did not. I guess I didn't remember that.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think. I can't think of American hockey players off the top of my head. I mean, I know there's a bunch out there, but I can't think of. If he stayed, I don't know if he was American though, but if he stayed healthy, Paul Kariya would probably be. I think he's Canadian though.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but that's a player right there that if he stays healthy, he's in a lot of conversations. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunate career there. Speaking of Paul Kariya, he made a cameo in the Mighty Ducks 3. And that's my transition to this going to the movies now. I do not have Mighty Ducks 3 anywhere in my rankings, by the way. I have the other two in there, 1 and 2. Mighty Ducks 3 is that. It's kind of like the Major League Back to the Minors movie where they made it and I watched it. And as a fan of the franchise, I appreciate the movie, but it's a terrible movie. And it gives you some great quotes and stuff like that, too. Don't get me wrong. We quote it all the time. But we're going to go back into our movie rankings now. Today we're going to do movies 40 to 31. We're going to be kind of similar with last week where one of us will share a movie to give a little quick synopsis about it. And then the next person will go. If you're watching a live stream, drop us some of your favorite sports movies and we'll give you a shout out. If you're not watching the live stream, you're checking this out on Spotify after the fact. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the support. Be sure to leave us a message though at hardballsportstalk@gmail.com. give us some of your favorite sports movies, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Getting started now, my number 40 movie, sports movie, is The Blind Side. It's a very inspiring story of Michael Orr. Now there's recent controversy about this movie because money, basically. But staying out of that, it's basically about a family that adopts Michael Orr, and he gets recruited to go play football at Ole Miss, an offensive lineman, ends up getting drafted by the Ravens. It's a really cool movie about family and inspiration and all that fun jazz. If you haven't checked it out yet, you should look it up. Not sure if it's on any streaming things. I was actually going to look that up today, see if any of these were any streamings for you guys to look up, and I forgot to do that. So I apologize. Next time I'll do that, though. But that is my number 40 movie, The Blind Side. How about you?
Yeah, sorry, I froze out.
No, you're good.
This one might be a controversy. I can't even say that word. But it is actually Rudy is my number 40th movie. And everyone knows about Rudy. There's some stuff in there that they portrayed as true, but it actually wasn't true.
That's every movie that's based on a true story, though.
Yeah, that's true. Like one of the parts where they all come in and like lay their jerseys and say they're not playing or this and that. I can't remember all of it. That's not true. I believe Joe Montana talked about it on the Dan Patrick show one time. It's like, yeah, that never happened. He's like, maybe if you guys did, but we never did that. Plus Rudy was offsides, so that's my number 40 movie. So number 38 is probably
39.
one of 39. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Reading numbers is hard. Is one of two movies, one of two soccer movies that I actually ranked. And it is Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. It's got Mike Ditka in it as his assistant coach at one time, and he has to go give him a juice box boy. Probably one of my other favorite parts of the movie is when the Italians are in the meat market and they can't make the game because they got to do their family obligations. So Will brings the team to help him out, and they arrive in the meat truck, and the other coach is like, "Yeah, nope, our team forfeit. One of my kids is sick. He forgot his shoes. Knee pad. Nope, we're good. Yep, everyone run. Don't look." That was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
It's such a funny movie.
It is. It's one of those about that funny. Yeah.
I talked about that one last week. Speaking of stupid funny movies, the next two of mine are stupid funny movies. At number 39, we got The Benchwarmers.
Yes.
Which is basically about middle-aged guys who, well, one of them is Rob Schneider, who is the normal one in the movie, which that's saying something when Rob Schneider's the normal person in the movie. And then we got John Heater, and I'm honestly not remember who the third guy is. I can see his face, though.
David Spade.
But David Spade, yep. And basically three guys who are big nerds, and they decide that they are tired of all the nerds getting picked on, so they're going to go bully, basically, Little League kids and beat them in Little League because they're middle-aged guys. They should be beating Little Leaguers in baseball. It's absolutely hilarious. Yes. Funny movie. Go out and watch it if you've never seen it. It's absolutely hilarious. My number 38. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here. I had a different movie ranked at number 38, and then I watched it last week, and I go, this movie is terrible. And we'll do an honorable mention episode, and I'll mention that movie there, so there's a little teaser for you guys. But my new number 38 is Goon. A hockey movie about a guy who's basically a goon on the ice, not good at skating, not good at shooting, but he can hit and he can fight, and that's what he does. And hilarious movie, very inappropriate, funny though, kind of like middle school boy humor type stuff here. But that's what we watched. This is a movie Squirrels and Alex and I would get together and we'd watch Goon. and there's a line in there where he taps Doug Glatz in the penalty box, and the guy next to him taps his stick and goes, "Hey kid, are you ready?" And Doug Glatz goes, "Yes, thank you for asking." Something that we quoted on a very regular
Oh my
basis.
I remember that. It was like all the time we quoted that after we watched the movie. That was
You go ahead
great.
with your 38 now.
Did you miss one? Or no?
No, I didn't. Ben Chumers was 39 and Goon was
Oh, that's right.
38.
Yeah, okay, so, 38. Again, I'm struggling here, and I apologize. 38, I have, the movie Radio. It's a good movie, and you kinda covered basically the synopsis of it. But it's got Ed Harris in it, and I've always liked him as a older actor. He's got some other good movies too. Um, it's a feel-good movie. This, challenged kid is, uh just doing his thing, kinda gets involved in the football team, and they kinda coach kinda takes him under his wing and helps him with football and coaching and winning games and stuff. My number 37 movie is a great parody movie, and it's called The Comebacks.
Yes,
Uh,
great movie.
with that movie, I believe I looked it up. I think there's 21 different parody versions, or not parody version, but movies that they, um, base stuff off of. If you want just a funny haha laugh, like stupid laugh and football related, you should go check this movie out. That's my number 37.
So that one I don't believe I have on my list, but The Comeback's great movie. It's basically like in the mid 2000s there was a trend going on of spoof movies
Yes.
where the movies, it was basically they combined 20, 30 movies into one and got the most ridiculous storyline they could think of, and this was the sports version of that. My number 37 is Bad News Bears. And I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't seen either version of this movie in years. I remember it was a funny movie, both of them. It's basically about basically an alcoholic taking over a little league baseball team that's not very good, and they become lovable losers. Basically, the Chicago Cubs. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a funny movie, both of them. Good movies there. And the number 36, we have Glory Road, excuse me, which is about the 1960 something Texas Western basketball team, which was the first college basketball team to start 5 African Americans in the national championship game. It's a very inspiring movie. Sports movies tend to have that inspiring theme going on there. It's a good movie. It's on Disney Plus, I believe, so you should go check it out. And one thing I like about it, and I'm not going to go into details or anything like that on many of these movies, but it's one of those movies where, like, yes, it's about an African American story, but like they don't play the victim card. Like they want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I like that where
There's no agenda to the
yeah,
movie.
there's no agenda. Yeah. So it's a great story, and again, no agenda. Or so it's a good movie there.
Right.
You go ahead with your 36.
I just realized that I have a lot of Will Ferrell in some of this ranking. I have 3 of his movies. We already covered one. The next 2 are actually his movies. Number 36, I have Blades of Glory, and I never thought I would love watching an ice skating movie. And turns out when you put Will Ferrell and John Heater in it, it makes me want to watch the movie.
Yep.
It's a pretty funny movie. Again, another Will Ferrell haha movies. In my number 35, 35th movie, there we go. I'll get the words right. It's Semi-Pro. And you kind of covered that one too in your rankings. But I think one of the good parts about it is that they create this move called the alley-oop, and it's unstoppable. And the refs are calling it a foul every time because they've never seen it before, and no one's seen it before, and it ends up helping them get back in the game and giving them a chance to win the game. So that was my 35th movie.
So there's another Will Ferrell sports movie out there, and I have that one at 35. Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. And so basically this one, Will Ferrell is a NASCAR driver, and if you ain't first, you're last. And he's basically obsessed with winning. He's got to win. There's a scene in this movie where they're giving basically a great prayer for their food of Domino's, Taco Bell, KFC. Basically, they went to every fast food restaurant and got whatever they wanted, and it's basically covered their whole table. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
It's probably the only racing movie I've actually ever sat down and watched, and it has, again, same with you with figure skating, Will Ferrell's involved.
Yeah.
And then my number 34, completely different type of movie, actually, Any Given Sunday. And this one has, I believe it's Al Pacino as the head coach of this football team. And it's very realistic. They got a lot of former players involved on it. It's basically about the daily life of a football player and the grind of the season and the injuries they play through and stuff like that. This movie is very controversial when it first came out. The NFL had nothing to do with it, and they're like, this is a bunch of propaganda. Don't watch it. It's basically a concussion before concussion. But they didn't really market it as that because everyone likes the big hits. And then they watched the movie and like, holy crap, this movie's a lot deeper than we thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really intense movie. And again, if you haven't seen that one, I recommend watching that one any given Sunday. Now you're up at number 34.
Yeah, I have Coach Carter as my 34. It's probably top 3 for me in basketball movies. There's a few other ones that I watch, but it's still a great basketball movie. And I know you covered it, but just the fact that you get this guy coming in, he makes these kids sign these contracts saying you will do this, you'll have this grade point average, you'll be on time, attendant, holding them responsible in school to be able to play a sport that they love. I think it's a pretty good movie, and that's why it's on my list, obviously. Duh. I know.
Duh.
And number 33 is Invincible with Mark Wahlberg. He plays this at first he was he a high school teacher?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think he was a high school teacher. He gets fired. He goes to like the local bar, and they're just kind of sitting there talking with his friends. And then this news report comes out that the Eagles are holding a tryout, and everyone's like, "Hey, you should go do that." He's like, "Nah," and then he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go do that." Ends up making, I think, the practice squad at first, and then he gets on the special teams, makes a great play. Pretty much that's the whole movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. It's a good-hearted movie.
Yep. Number 33, I have the Adam Sandler classic, The Waterboy. I thought about playing a clip for that one, to be honest with you, to start this episode, but Little Giants one time was, just too funny not to. But basically, Bobby Boucher, who's Adam Sandler's character, is the water boy on this team, and he has anger issues, and the coach basically, he goes, hey, we can use these anger issues. We suck. So they'd basically say something to take him off, like, water sucks. It really, really sucks. And it gets triggered and goes and kills the quarterback, basically. It's a funny movie. Adam Sandler's 90s type stuff, Scott Henry Winkler, a couple other big name actors. Just a fun time all around. And then my number 32 movie, the intro of this episode was from Little Giants, and as my number 32 movie, basically the premise of this one is these bunch of nerdy kids don't make the football team in their local city, and Rick Moranis' character decides he's going to start up his own football team, and he's going to take on his brother's team, who's the team that these kids didn't make. And Rick Moranis with the help of John Madden and a few other Hall of Famers, whip these kids into shape and inspires them to win this football game. It's a really funny kids movie, 90s peak sports movies, which is basically a huge part of both of our lists. It's 90s kids sports movies.
Yes.
So go ahead with your number
32.
32.
Brandon, I want you to show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire is if you have never heard that phrase before, that's where that comes from. It's basically about Tom Cruise plays this hotshot sports agent. I can't remember what affiliate he's with. Ends up getting fired. He's like, all right, I'm gonna take my one client, and this dude's gonna carry me and pretty much give everyone the money. Him and his client, which is Cuba Gooding Jr. I think I said that right. I know we kind of struggled last time. But it's a great movie. A lot of quotable stuff. Kind of cool. Kind of going behind the scenes of NFL athlete and dealing with their agent and kind of what they both go through. And in the end, they come, better friends because of it. And he just wants his money. That's all. And then my 31st movie. That sounds weird when I say that. I don't. Number 31. There we go. Is the great Varsity Blues movie. And it's got a very young James Vanderbeek, the late great Paul Walker's in this movie. There's a couple other famous guys. I can't think of their names right now. Basically, it's this guy living in Texas. And everyone in Texas knows it's huge, Friday night football. That's the big thing there. And he plays as this backup. He's gonna attend Brown University, kind of get away from everything from Texas. Basically, the coach finds this out, says, "I'm gonna make your life a living hell if you do this. I can bring you down. I can cause this issue for you to go into Brown." In the halftime, he's like, "All right, coach, we're not gonna go back out there if you're still coaching." Yada yada yada. It's a great movie though. I gotta say, it's a pretty great movie. I recommend go watch it.
Yeah, going back to Jerry Maguire, I have that one on my list a little bit higher up. But fun fact about that, it is inspired by Lee Steinberg, who is a NFL agent, and he helped a lot behind the scenes with that movie. And so it's very realistic because they actually had an NFL agent help make that movie, and it's loosely based on his life story.
Mm-hmm.
I use that term very loosely, though. My number 31 movie, star-studded. It's got Bill Murray. It's got Larry Bird. It's got Michael Jordan. And the one and only Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
We are talking, of course, Space Jam. Most crazy premise ever. Michael Jordan goes golfing. Gets a hole-in-one because Bugs Bunny had a magnet that attracted the ball to the hole. And then he reaches in to grab his ball, and he gets basically warped into Looney Tune land because they need to win a basketball game. And they figured, let's go get Michael Jordan to win this basketball game. So they go get Michael Jordan, and he helps them win a basketball game to stop them from being slaves in Moron Mountain.
Great.
It's a absolutely hilarious movie. They did a remake of it with LeBron James and more modern stuff. And it wasn't a bad movie or anything like that. But I think just because I think it was for like the kids nowadays love that one because it's their childhood. Yeah. And they'll look back at that one the way we look at Space Jam, because if you watch Space Jam as an adult, the movie doesn't hold up.
No.
But if you can still have that little kid mindset, which we have,
yes,
it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. That's why it's going to be on our list.
Yep. I believe that is all we have today. I believe you did your 31 also.
Yeah, it was Varsity Blues.
Yeah. Varsity Blues, yep. So that is all we have for you guys today. Wednesday, we will be back, and we are going to talk about the AL Central for baseball. That is the next episode we have planned. So we'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section on YouTube or Facebook where you're watching this, or shoot us an email at hardballsportstalk@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you next time.